Looking to dominate the sports books in NFL Week 17? Look, folks, we've only got 2 weeks left of a full NFL slate. So stay tuned for 6 of my favorite prop bets from this weekend. Welcome, football fans, to another edition of IDP Plus Bets. What is up, folks? I'm your host, the DGen Doc, and as always, we're back with my best bets for this weekend. That's right, 6 of my favorite prop bets here. Last week, coming off a man week, 2-3-1, a couple of plus money hits. Our first void of the season, Izzy Abadakenda, did not line up, so obviously that bet was voided. But JSN and DTR on the ground really came through for us. DTR there catching a nice 2-1, and JSN really rode his ladders up. So he was the guy in Seattle. So we're looking for a couple more of these cashes this week. And we're going to start with, look, I always talk about how most of them of these I give out are plus money. Now, if we hit one, obviously it gives us a little more leeway, gives us more profits, right? But a lot of sportsbooks have recently taken away some of those alternate unders that I really liked. So, I think everybody understands if you want to make money sports betting, you can't just bet overs, right? So I'm going to start with an under. I would love to do an alternate under. So if you have a book out there, that offers that, definitely encourage you to take that. I know DraftKings, some of these other ones kind of taking those away. Just pretty shitty by then, but that's a whole nother conversation. But we're going to start with an under. We're going to start with a guy that I'm fading this week, and that is T. Higgins. Cincinnati Bengals wide receiver T. Higgins there, under 71.5 receiving yards, about minus 110 there. Look, so there's a couple things at play here. One, Higgins is coming into the week already a little bit beat up. He's got a knee and ankle injury, limited practices both the past 2 days. I do expect him to play. That is kind of where he's trending. Seems more hurt than actually injured, but he is definitely dealing with something here. Also, he's not hit this number in 3 out of his last 4 games. He's gone under the 70-yard mark as well. And the biggest piece to this is that this Denver secondary, which looked like one of the best in the league to start the season, they're finally getting healthy. And really that key piece is cornerback Riley Moss out of Iowa. He has been a stud for them, opposite of Pat Surtain. He went out for a couple weeks, and that defense did not look the same. He's going to be back. So I think, yes, it is hard to stop Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins. I understand that. However, I think that if they're going to move one guy away from Pat Surtain and move him around the offense, Pat Surtain really just sticks to his side. It's going to be Jamar Chase. And I think T. Higgins is going to be left to having a pretty mediocre day there. It's a high number. It's 71.5 yards. I think he does go under this number. So give me the under there on T. Higgins. Next up, we're going back to the overs, and we're going to talk about wide receiver. I do like over 70 yards this week, and that is Falcons wide receiver Darnell Mooney. 70-plus receiving yards at plus 170 there. Let's start here. So we have a new quarterback in Atlanta there who's going to be getting his first road start, Michael Penix Jr. At the Commanders. And his top target last week was not Kyle Pitts. It was not Drake London. It was Darnell Mooney. Darnell Mooney quietly having a really solid season for this Falcons team. I'm going to go 70-plus yards here at plus 170. He's hit this number in the last week. He went over 80 yards with Penix. A little bit of a boomer bust guy, but when he does hit, he is really consistently over that 70 plus mark. Drake London as well is coming in with a hamstring injury. He's a little bit beat up. The expectation is that he will play. He wants to play, but hamstring injuries have a high re-injury rate, and they're a tough one to deal with as far as trying to fully accelerate and fully jump and be able to propel yourself off of that hamstring. So I think that may give him some problems there. And then on the Washington side, Marshawn Lattimore re-injured his hamstring last week. So that's one less piece for that Washington secondary that's been decent against the pass this year. But I do like Mooney to get loose there at 70-plus receiving yards, plus 170. Next one on the slate, Carolina Panthers quarterback Bryce Young, a guy who I did not think I'd be betting on. If you asked me this time last season, for sure. But he's had a very nice turnaround here. Give me his 250-plus passing yards at plus 185. He's got a great matchup here going up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He threw for over 290 yards against the Buccaneers just a couple weeks ago. And this Buccaneers secondary is still beat up. and still not very good. You have Antoine Winfield, who is still missing practice, not expected to play. They just put safety Christian Izien on the IR. So they're still very beat up on the secondary side. You're also getting Xavier Legette back. He's fully practicing for the Carolina Panthers. So there's a lot of things trending in the right direction here for Bryce Young. And I think the biggest thing is that Dave Canales, head coach there, has been able to kind of unlock his confidence. We see it each more and more each week, right? He's getting more confidence in his arm. He's making anticipatory throws there. So I like Bryce Young. He's got a great matchup against Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He just went for 290 against this team. So give me 250 plus passing yards at plus 185. All right, folks, that is the 3 out of the 6. So that means it's ad time. Look, I got to tell you guys some of the great things we got going over here at idpplus.com/membership. I can give you a promo code right now for 20% off all of the memberships on the site with promo code PROPS there. Look, the IDP Plus subscription, you get access to special articles, tools, data. There's things that we provide just for our subscribers. I know I do an injury article every week on that subscription tool talking about the defensive side and, hey, how do these injuries impact the defensive side, the biggest injuries of the week. So you're not going to want to miss that. You're definitely going to want to check that out. Also, our subscriber Discord is included in that. Also got a couple promos here for you guys. idpplus.com/FanDuel. $50 in bonus bets when you deposit just $10. And we do not discriminate because we got one for DraftKings as well. idpplus.com/DraftKings. $50 in bonus bets when you deposit $50. Those will all be in the show notes, in the description. All right, back to the action here. With prop bet number 4, we're going to go with, I've got 3 more bets here, all over 2-1. And we're going to start with the Cleveland Browns RB1, Jerome Ford, 100 plus rushing and receiving yards at plus 220. Cleveland Browns are taking on the Miami Dolphins, and it was announced earlier today that Dorian Thompson-Robinson, a guy who cashed for us last week in his rushing props, he is going to be expected to be the starter again, despite dealing with a little bit of calf injury. Now, he's a guy that not only uses his legs like we talked about last week, but he's a guy that doesn't have a lot of passing ability. He really likes these dump downs. He gets himself in some bad situations. This Cleveland Browns offensive line has been very shaky. So he's had to dump the ball off to the running back a lot. And Jerome Ford has been the recipient of many of those targets, and I expect him to be as well. Since Nick Chubb broke his foot and has been out, these last 2 weeks, Jerome Ford has hit this number in both weeks. He's been doing it on the ground. He's been doing it through the air. He had 90 yards on the ground last week against the Cincinnati Bengals rush defense. And Miami just gave up this number to Deebo Samuel there. Deebo had 90 plus receiving and 25 on the ground. I like Jerome Ford. I like him on the ground. I like him through the receiving. Again, if Jameis Winston was at quarterback, we'd be having a little bit of a different conversation there. DTR, he's a lot more limited in his passing ability. I think he also adds an element to the run game, the fact that you have to worry about the quarterback's legs, and he's a dump-off merchant. I mean, like most backup quarterbacks are, he likes to have a safety valve, and Jerome Ford is that guy, especially with David Njoku trending to not playing this week because he hasn't practiced. All right, bet number 5. We've got the Monday night game, and we're talking about Mr. Irrelevant. Not so much this past couple seasons here. Brock Purdy over or 300 plus passing yards at plus 285. He's going up against a Detroit defense that, it's been well documented, is absolutely decimated by injuries. They have a ton of guys on the IR, including 3 cornerbacks on the IR. This is expected to be a shootout because every game with the Detroit Lions is. You know one thing. We know the Detroit Lions offense is going to put up points. So in order to keep pace, in order to go through some garbage time, whatever it may be, the San Francisco 49ers have to keep that pace. They have to pass the ball. You've got some injury questions on running back, whether it's going to be Patrick Taylor or a beat-up Isaac Guerrero. Either way, it's not CMC and Jordan Mason are not walking through that door. So that really has been on the shoulders of Brock Purdy since he went out. Look, this Detroit defense just gave up 300 yards to Caleb Williams. And Brock Purdy has hit this number in 3 out of his last 6 games and 2 out of the last 3. Only when he didn't hit in the last 3 games was that really rainy weather game, that ugly Thursday night game with the Rams and the 49ers. So I love Brock Purdy's passing yards here. Give me 300 plus passing yards at plus 285. And then finally, Mr. Jonathan Taylor. Look, if you've been watching the show, you know I am a New York Giants fan, and it's been a very painful season. What has been nice has been able to profit off of my misery and how bad this team looks at times. The Indianapolis Colts are kind of in playoff mode. They cannot afford a loss. They have to win these games. And what they've done is they've understood that in order to give ourselves the best chance of winning, we need to give the ball to Jonathan Taylor. He's gotten over 20 rush attempts in his last 3 games and gone over for 95 yards. He's just coming off a 200-yard game with 3 touchdowns. Look, I like his 2 touchdowns at plus 350. His 3 touchdowns sitting around 14, 13-1. I don't mind a sprinkle there either. You've got a Giants defense that is very, very beat up, right? Where's the motivation? They've 0-8 at home. They're a terrible team. Best defensive tackle, Dexter Lawrence. Best linebacker, Bobby Okereke. And best safety, Tyler Nubin, all on the IR. And, Bijan Robinson just did this to them last week where he went for 2 touchdowns. I think they're going to have trouble stopping the run. I think the Colts know Anthony Richardson coming to this game a little bit beat up. He's a little bit sore. So I like Jonathan Taylor to carry the load and carry the Colts to keep their playoff hopes alive there. So give me Jonathan Taylor, 2+ touchdowns at plus 350. All right, folks, that is the 6 bets. We're going to do a quick recap, and then we're going to get on out of here. Let's see here. So as a recap to all the bets we gave out today, it is Cincinnati Bengals wide receiver Teehiggins under 71.5 receiving yards and -110. We got Atlanta Falcons wide receiver Darnell Mooney, 70+ receiving yards at plus 170 to be another top target for Michael Penix. Bryce Young, 250+ passing yards at plus 185 against a bad Tampa Bay secondary. Jerome Ford, 100+ rush receiving yards at plus 220. He is the new Cleveland Browns running back number 1. He's got a backup quarterback who loves dump offs, and he's got some opportunity to have some holes against this Miami defense in the run game. Brock Purdy, 300+ passing yards at plus 285. I like Monday night to be a shootout. The Lions are decimated with injuries, and the 49ers know they're going to have to pass the ball in order to have any success. And then Jonathan Taylor, 2+ touchdowns at plus 350. Look, he's going up against a very, very bad New York Giants defense, and he has to be the workhorse. You got to beat up Anthony Richardson, and you have a team that needs this win if they have any shot at the playoffs. All right, my friends, that is it here. We've given out 6 bets for NFL Week 17. If you enjoyed the show, I would very much appreciate a like, subscribe, first season of the show, give any feedback that you would like. But yeah, look, we like to get in there nice and quick and easy. 6 bets, mostly all plus money except for that under there. And 2 more weeks of the NFL for a full slate, and then we're on to playoffs where things are just that much, the stakes are that much higher. So we'll have to see how we pivot there. But hey, enjoy these last 2 weeks of a full slate of the NFL. And from myself here at IDP Plus Bets, I am out of here.
Thank you for watching the IDP Plus YouTube network. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Be sure to tap the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload new content.